Hey guys, welcome to the Asian Hustle Network podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Maggie.
And we interview Asian entrepreneurs around the world to amplify their voices and empower Asians to pursue their dreams and goals.
We believe that each person has a message and a unique story from their entrepreneurial journey that they can share with all of us. Hi everyone, welcome to the Asian Hustle Network podcast. My name is Maggie.
My name is Brian.
And today we have two special guests on our podcast, and they are Siqi Mou and Kailu Guan. Siqi is the CEO and co-founder of HelloAva, and Kailu is the co-founder and chief creative officer of HelloAva. HelloAva is a beauty app that uses AI technology to recommend skincare products based on your skin type. So Siqi is a former Bloomberg anchor and also held several positions at Morgan Stanley, PIMCO, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, before starting HelloAva. Siqi was awarded Forbes 30 Under 30 Consumer Tech in 2019 and Inc. magazine's 30 Rising Stars Under 30 in 2018 and has been featured in many different media outlets. Kailu is an award-winning multidisciplinary designer. Her areas of concentration include human-centered design, fashion design, augmented reality, and wearable technology. She has held several positions at IDEO, Intel, and Hermes. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you guys, and we want to hear more about your story too, so we'll jump right into it. So we'll start with Siqi. Siqi, you want to hear more about your childhood and how you became so successful and ambitious growing up?
So similar to Kailu, I had a childhood in China where I was like brought up by pretty strict Asian parents, who I think all of us can relate. I think one of the inspiration that has led me to start my own business is looking at how my parents grew something from zero, literally, to where it is today. So one of the vivid memory I still have is when I was a very young child, probably when I was 14, I started going to all these trade shows with my dad in Germany, which we go every year right before my birthday. So then we'll stay there for a little bit longer and then celebrate my birthday after the show. It was like a celebratory dinner to celebrate how much sales we created from the trade show. I was so young back then. I had no idea about this business complexity, about how to sell stuff or how to build furniture or how to, advertise. So, but my parents are very busy, so they're not going to be able to leave me in the hotel alone and just go to the trade show by themselves. So they usually took me to the trade show. So I was usually the kid at the trade show. We have this beautiful booth, all these outdoor furniture set up. There's clients coming in from all over the country coming in, trying to sit down and then talk about, business with my dad. And I would just be there holding candies and chocolate and just giving it to the people who come in. But then at a point where we had so many clients coming in, and my dad was I cannot handle the traffic anymore. And I was just hey, how about let me tell you a little bit about what our business does. So I started learning. I actually asked my dad to teach me how to introduce our company and how to introduce this concept of outdoor furniture and what's our advantage when people come to, why do they want to buy chairs and furniture and umbrellas from us rather than some of the Italian handcrafted makers? What is special thing about us? So when I was giving people chocolate and candies, whenever people start coming to our booth, I start to sell our business, which is an outdoor furniture manufacturer back then. So that was kind of the initial part about how I get involved into building a business or even just advertising or selling for a business early on. Yeah,
I really like that story too, because it's very similar to myself as well. Except for my situation, my parents couldn't speak English that well, and they kind of just forced me into conversation. They're like, here, talk to my 7-year-old son. He knows English pretty well. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to say, Dad? So very similar.
That's awesome. Yeah, so then you kind of have to, because sometimes these selling doesn't translate perfectly into another language. So you always have to internalize it, translate it into your own language, trying to sell it. So that's also a very vivid memory that taught me like everything at the end of the route is it's about selling, whether it's about you building a business, or you're trying to hire some talents, or you're trying to close a deal, or you're trying to create a partnership. It's always about selling. So that gives me such a just concrete understanding of how important selling is and why this is the most important skill set for a businesswoman.
Awesome. I love that a lot.
Yeah, I love that. I also love how everything kind of fell into place for you, because it wasn't like your dad was trying to teach you selling habits and selling practices, but because he was so busy, he needed to take you to the trade show anyway, right? And for you to be there to help him, it's like everything worked out, and all of those habits, everything that you learned kind of trickled down to what you are today.
They're lifelong skills, for sure.
I'm like the abandoned child who like there's no caregiver, and so I adapted to it myself, and then hopefully my being the chocolate girl or the candy girl helped my dad close some of these deals.
Amazing.
Yeah. Kailu, we want to hear your story too.
Yeah, so I actually have a very different upbringing, even though it was kind of unusual, I think, for an Asian family. So I didn't grow up under like tiger parents. So my parents are they're very free-spirited. They're like, okay, you can do whatever you want. They didn't really have expectation of me being a lawyer or doctor. And my mom was pretty artistic. So she likes to play the piano, and she also draws really well. So I think when I was younger, she encourages me to, to draw and to paint and, just do like random stuff. And I'm kind of like just the wild kid who, just learns about art at a very young age. And, since my mom really encourages me, I just kept going. And I remember when I was in school, actually Siqi and I went to the same high school. Even though we're a few years apart, I was always the one who's like, working on design and art for our student government. And, obviously Siqi was the one she was the president actually.
Oh, wow.
Well, we didn't overlap when I was running for the government, student government, but we realized that we actually were a couple years apart. So we were in the same year that it would have been me running the student government while she was being the head of design, which is similar kind of.
This is what we're doing right now. Yeah. So my parents they were very, chill. And when I decided that I need to come to America for college, just very naturally, I picked design. And so I went to Parsons for fashion design, and just emerged in that art school world, and without any exposure to business. So when I took a year off, it was my first time ever experiencing how business works, to be honest. And I remember my roommate back then, she started her own startup, and she kind of brought me into the world of entrepreneurship. And I remember when I first get my foot into the door, when I heard terms like angel investor, I was like, wow, this is so interesting. There's an angel who's giving you money.
Angels. Yeah,
but I was very intrigued by how, selling and buying works. It sounds so weird, but I was very, very intrigued. And then, so it's just very natural and curious. I helped her with design work for her company, and that's basically how I got into tech and how I got into running a business. So it's kind of like a reverse. So every day to this day, I'm still learning a lot about business, and I found there are things that you can do in a startup, in especially a tech startup, that can change people's life in a way that design or art cannot. I mean, not to say which one is better, but they're just very different approach. And that's why I love what I do right now so much, is, kind of in between the creativity that I have, and also it's a real business that benefits a lot of users.
Yeah, just
And I felt the same way as well. Like, I'm not a creative. I mean, I learned drawing and I failed like terribly when I was. I didn't pick this as my profession, but I love the creative part about being a business owner as well. So I'm learning from everyone else in my team, especially the creative team that's led by Kailu, to how to be more creative about the solution. So then hopefully that drives higher revenue as well. So I think it's this really complementary skill set we learn from each other that helps us motivate it and grow as a team together.
Definitely. Just out of curiosity too, like how did your partnership come about? Because you understand that partnerships are extremely hard, including my partnership with Maggie here for Asian Hustle Network. So I just want to understand, like, how did you guys find each other and decide to work together and start a business together? So I feel like it's a really big move. And I always tell everyone on the podcast too, or people tell me on the podcast, that when you're doing business with someone else, like a partnership, it's like you're dating them and you're married to them. So you have to make sure things
married. Probably more than married. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kailu much more than my own husband.
And you guys met in high school too. So you guys go
No, we
back.
didn't.
Oh, you guys didn't meet in high school. Oh, but did you guys know of each other at least?
I've heard of Siqi. She's so famous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if she has heard about me.
So,
probably not.
Let me tell you the story. It's a great story. So our story can actually be cast into a movie, I think. Which maybe one day, Kailu, once we exit our company, become a serial entrepreneur, our next job should be producing
an actress. Yeah.
a movie about how we met and the building of almost like adapted from a real story. But I think it could be a good fictional movie too, but it's adapted from a reality.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me tell you the story. So Kailu and I kind of she said she knows about me. I don't know. Maybe she's being nice, but we went to the same high school, and we were a couple years apart. So I didn't know, we didn't know each other then. We never met then, right? But when we were, we had this separate paths, because I was focused on finance. I was the finance geek and math geek, and she's the design genius, right? So it wasn't until, and I kind of got the business register and started already a little bit, but then it's a very rudimentary product we built, and we're just starting the company, getting some of these early tractions and trying to hustle. So when I was presenting my business at TechCrunch back in 2017, which is pre-launch, one of our mutual friend who was dating Kailu at the point. He's also my classmate from Stanford, and he was also one of our earlier investor. He was basically saying that, hey, Kailu, you need to go meet this woman who I invest money in. And then so Kailu was cool, can you introduce us? And then Kailu kind of, and then her boyfriend basically dropped the ball then, and he never introduced us. And also Kailu also dropped the ball and didn't remind him. So we never got introduced. But then when we were at TechCrunch, when I was kind of hustling, trying to present this idea, we got kind of randomly by chance introduced.
Through a friend who also went to the same high school.
By another friend who also went to the same high school. Our high school, by the way, is amazing. So that's why we have all these million people in the U.S. We have a lot of people who goes overseas to college. So we were introduced by her. And the reason we kind of got together was that that day we met this founder who is the founder of Napster. Have you guys heard of Napster?
Yeah.
It does not exist anymore, but he was a kind of a godfather type of figure back in the days, right? So we were talking about him, and then Kailu was in the same group, and we're just chatting with him. And then we spent the entire afternoon together chatting. And then I was asking about Kailu, about her project, which is it's a virtual reality project for fashion that she was also exhibiting in TechCrunch. So I was very intrigued by her. And she said that she knew about me, but again, I don't know if she was just being nice. And then I took a photo and then sent it back to her boyfriend at the time. And it was look, this is, I just met this girl. She's pretty cool. She went to my high school. And then the guy was oh my God, this is the girl I want to introduce to you. So then we realized it's actually the same person that we're talking about. And then after that, we kind of like, we just hit it off, where I'm just like, you're so cool. You're doing all these like really cool virtual reality stuff. So then we got together and start like, we just had dinner at China Blue, and then we're just like chatting about some random like tech and startup stuff. And she showed me her really cool virtual reality fashion design. I was like, whoa, this is like out of this world. So then I was like, hey, what are you up to these days? Like, do you want to maybe like work on this like together? We actually don't have any designer. I would love to like get your help. So then like Kailu started working with me like kind of relatively casually, kind of just, we're like not really talking about co-foundership at that point.
I think we're talking about like our acne more.
We're talking about acne all the time.
That was the biggest conversation that we had during that dinner at China.
And we're talking about how every time that we talk, whenever we start talking about how much we struggle with our high school acne, we connect it deeper. So then it's this mission that we're trying to do, right? That like deeply connected us. So then we start kind of working in a more casual kind of capacity, and then later on, Kailu got more involved, and then I got to rely on Kailu much more, and she relies on me more as well. So then, fast forward a year, 2 years later, I would say, we're like inseparable.
Wow.
We're married right now, on paper and also in life.
I love that. I also suffer from a skin disease, and it's like when I know other people who suffer from the same skin disease, I connect with them automatically because I know what they're going through, and like we can talk about what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and like what worked for the other person. And it's like commonality that you have with that person, right? And I think that that's kind of how your relationship has kind of formed by you talking about what you guys go through and what you guys struggle.
Yeah, and I think having skin issues is much more than picking products. It's very psychological. Right. I remember when I was having when I had acne back in high school, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want anyone to look at my face. I don't want to go into the sun. Like these kind of things. Just especially when you're a teenager, it really gives you a lot of a confidence issue, right? Yep. So when we talked about like acne, it's really more about like an emotional connection that we we had, like it was like a bonding because of the pimple that we had.
Yeah, and I would remember talking to Kailu how much about when I was in college, when I still suffer from acne, I wouldn't feel comfortable even going on dates with guys because I felt like they would be staring my face and just looking at my acne. That was so psychological, like deeply rooted in your own confidence. It was like, it was something that really, it really hurt you, it really destroys you. So we wanted to be able to help and empower people so that they don't have to go through this again. So I think like people always say like there's like a proverb in Chinese that basically says something like suffering connects people, which is like a little extreme. I think sometimes like the sufferings and the hardship actually brings people together even stronger. Right? That's such a strong bond that allows you to. And because of that suffering, like you understand what hardship is. And then when you're building startups, obviously you're going to go through all these hardship and obstacles because startup is like the most roller coaster kind of journey, right? So you are already prepared to do that because you had this common suffering that connected you.
Definitely. Yeah. So let's take it back a step and talk about HelloAva. Like, we want to hear more about your company, what kind of platform that it provides. We heard there's so many resources out there, and we listened to your 2017 TechCrunch pitch that you talked about earlier. Meeting was absolutely amazing. So we want to give you some time to talk about HelloAva and allow our listeners to kind of understand what is your company all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. So HelloAva is a skin technology company that uses both artificial intelligence and dermatology expertise to give you the best personalized routine that you need. Everyone's skin is different, and as we said earlier in the podcast, I have acne. Kailu has acne. We all have acne at some point in our life, but everyone's acne issue is probably different. And then if you don't have acne, that's lucky, but then you might have something else that's also unique to you. So everyone's skin is different, and it deserves to, individualized concern and individualized care that you should have that's tailored to your skin. So the way that works, which we made it really fun and easy for the users, you go through a fun questionnaire, and then by the end of the questionnaire, you will get initial diagnosis about your skin, which summarizes what's your skin characteristics and also the weakness and the strength of your skin. After that, you will pay $10 consultation fee to be connected to an esthetician who are usually licensed by the New York State Aesthetics Board. And then she will have a one-on-one video consultation just like this on Zoom or FaceTime with you. And then she will then send you a fully personalized recommendation list that's tailored to your skin. When you're purchasing the product, the $10 you paid earlier gets credit back. So net out, the experience is free. And when you're getting and then you get these beautiful shipments sent right to your box, which has all the product you bought and also a beautiful card that has your name printed on it and an AM and PM routine that is tailored to your needs. So you're getting not just the product, but also the care and like a regimen card that tells you what to do.
Wow, I love it a lot. How did you guys gain traction for this at the very beginning and tell people?
At the very beginning, it's all word of mouth. And even today, we still rely heavily on word of mouth and referral. And then a lot of them come from PR. Like when we started, we have less than 1,000 customers, and now we're over 130,000 community.
Wow, that's...
and I think right now, also our Instagram has been a main place for us to gain new followers and also new users. So the pandemic actually has helped us a lot. So at the beginning, I think we had around 50,000 followers on Instagram, but now since everyone is home and you spend so much more time on your phone, our community grew so much faster during this past 2 months, and now we're at 218,000 followers. And then we just did a live today. So and none of the users, we didn't buy any followers or do anything. Just purely by posting good content, like educational content that helps our users, we're able to grow our community in a very sustainable and steady pace.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you guys, like, how have things changed since COVID-19? Because personally, I've gone through so many different changes with my skin because of COVID. And I can't, for prescription stuff, I can't go out to the doctor's office and get it anymore. So I'm looking for alternatives for my skincare routine. So it's actually made me and forced me to pick up on a skincare routine since being in quarantine. So I'm just wondering, would love to know how you guys have changed since COVID, and how you guys are keeping up with the traffic.
Yeah. So one of the key things that we did is in the early days of COVID-19, we realized the alternatives of going to the shop and seeing dermatologists or finding someone who can give you facial is no longer there. Right. So we realized that how can we solve and help people still fit their needs for these when all these options are not available. So one of the key features we launched was a video consultation. So that in addition to these quiz and text message consultation, we add a new video consultation which help foster these relationships that people can have with our skin expert community, so that people can get this kind of really good personalized and really humanized consultation, and then fully feel like they can show their face to one of our skin expert who's consulting them. And that has helped so much in terms of conversion. That has actually increased our conversion from I think already decent amount, from 50% now to 70%. So I think we did a few other things on the marketing side, which Kailu can relay a little more, that helped with the COVID as well.
Yeah, and I think mainly it's because everyone right now, like you said, you're not able to go to your dermatologist, right? And then also you don't really need to wear much makeup. So I think it's a good thing that we see that our users, or even just myself, I spend so much more time taking care, like self-care,
right?
Holistically. So I think skincare is a very important part of it. Mm-hmm. So I think just by its nature, like the time that you spend on your phone is much more than before. So, and then people will value the service and value talking to a skin advisor much more right now because you don't have much else going on.
Yeah.
Telemedicine and digital therapy has been like a really, really popular trend. And I think it's like where a lot of like money is flowing to these days because of COVID. We're not like telemedicine because we're not in the medical field, but we are definitely a digital therapy, alternatives that's kind of using a digital ways of giving you a skin therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, even as a male, I kind of look into routines because during this COVID situation, it's very stressful at home. I get a lot of pimples. Maggie always points out my pimples. She's like, "Oh my God, you have a pimple." I know.
You need to come to us.
I know. We just turn off the lights.
Yeah, Brandon, we actually, on that point, we have a lot of male users. So it's like, it's funny enough because we never actually advertise on male, but then because the women, they did it and they're like, wait, this is such a cool service. My husband or my boyfriend should use it too. So
that they can stop stealing my skincare.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, out of curiosity too, like how do you pick up on trends and create new features from that? What is your thought process behind that?
I mean, on product releases, Kailu can speak a little bit because she's the creative mind behind it, but we do a lot of user research and interviews. So I will let you kind of take that question.
Yeah. I think, it's very rare that we'll basically just sit here and come up with features. So I try not to do it, or at least whenever I have an idea, I'll run it by our users. So usually the way it works is that we talk to our users on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So I will call them and I'll have, video chat with them or even just email with them. And also we have this channel on Instagram where our users will DM us and, just, chat with us and talk about, their experience. Right. So I check all of these platforms and I will have a list of, features and requests from our users and basically inspiration from just talking to them and what they need. How can we make the product better for them? And then out of everything, this backlog that we have, I usually will, pick a few on like one or two features every month or every other week to do a lot of user interviews on. So we will have our team design a lot of mock-ups, and then we will send them to our users, and then we'll have like sit down time with them. Now it obviously happens via Zoom, and then we'll have them go through the new experience that we designed and kind of just learn from there and see if this feature actually will benefit them, because maybe user A says that, I want this feature, but then when you're testing it, you realize that not a lot of people actually will benefit from it. Then this might not be a feature that we want to spend our time and money on. Obviously, as a startup, you have a very limited amount of resources and you want to use that wisely. So before building anything, we want to make sure that this is something that's going to help. Otherwise, we're just not going to, we will not build things that just look good or make us feel that this is a better product. But we want to look at the number and look at actually how people are interacting with it before making a decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, it means that you guys are not being reactive to your planning. You guys are more, planning ahead of time. So I think the problem with startup founders is that they tend to be more on the reactive side. It's like, this is a cool feature. Let's build it out without.
Yeah, like all other companies are doing it. We need to do that.
And then I know, being a founder is really tough, and we totally relate talking to a lot of customers, getting feedback and whatnot. But you also want to talk a little more about your guys' mental health. That's just as important as anything. Because we understand that as founders, you're always on call, you're always taking meetings, you're always reading the reviews, you're always constantly making decisions. Your work-life balance is always in flux because, you know, there's no boundaries really because this is your baby, this is your passion. So how do you guys take care of your mental health?
I can take that first and then Kailu can add. So first of all, it's so true. Like today I talked about HelloAva 7 times already. Like group of people, one is an investor call, one is a casting call with this media company, and one is with another podcast, and one is like an interview for a whole series. So totally can relate that. Like I'm like actually almost mouth dry talking about So I think for me, the biggest thing is, so I recently, a little bit background about my personal life. So I recently had a son, and he is 7 months old. Thank you very much. And he was born right before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So I think what has taught me is, it has taught me so much, like as a mother, a new mother who was like still struggling through all these things, but it has taught me to really have to carve out time for him, because otherwise it never ends and it will never have time for him. So one of the key things I learned is I will block out my calendar, literally, so that people cannot schedule things with me from like a certain amount of time. So usually I block out from 6 o'clock to 5:30 to like 7 o'clock, which is when he was about to go to sleep. So then I can like take a bath for him, and I can like rock him a little bit and put him to sleep, and I can log back on to work more after he sleeps. And then it at least gives me that like very concentrated time so that I can like focus on him, not think about something else. And then I will still respond to Slack and stuff, but I will try not to do that, so that I feel like I can devote some time to my son. And then I will come back on later on to make sure that I finish everything I need to finish. So I think that has actually really helped me in terms of like, and make sure I'm not missing anything important, because if I schedule something and into this like my son time, then it's like hard for me to say no. So I try to block it out so that I don't like overcommit to things. That's like one of the key tricks I use. And another thing which I think I quite like is the notion of work-life integration. So I don't like the whole thing about work-life balance, because that's I don't like the whole concept of work-life balance, because I think that's kind of implying that you have work and you have life, and the two things are contradictory. So what I'm trying to do, especially as a startup founder, I think this is really helpful, is I try to integrate the two, so that it means that they're not necessarily contradictory, but more so complementary. So we can like have fun things, like at dinner we can have like something that's fun with Kailu and the rest of the team, and we can chat about some like really cool inspirations. But then that's also having fun too. So we're not just like working. So I think some of these ideas, that I think it's like a way of you looking at life and work in general that actually affects your mental health greatly.
Yeah, I like the work integration stuff into your life. I do the same thing. If I can combine my work into fun and leisure, that's the best way to go, I believe. And I completely agree with the time block situation as well. I do have the time block. I sometimes forget that Maggie is also my girlfriend and co-founder. So sometimes we just have to time block things out to have a normal date or a normal conversation besides business. I totally agree with the mental health aspect. It's not easy too, because sometimes, you're like weighing the opportunity cost. Oh man, that meeting I had to take that intrudes into my family time or whatnot is so important. How can I make this work?
Yeah. And I think one thing that we do very well in our company is that we do have fun together, like a lot. Like it's never like, oh, I need to go see my colleague. It's almost like, oh, I need to hang out with my friends once every. So we have a team meeting right now, like once every month, and we work together during the day. But then in the afternoon or like late at night, we'll start with our time with Siqi's son, like Maxwell. So we got like very distracted after like 4 p.m. and start to have fun with him. So, it's really like fun, and we really enjoy our time together.
Yeah. And I went apple picking with Kailu last weekend too. And it's like I think we're like friends first, and then we like build companies, and we have fun building companies.
Yeah. I think one important thing that you want to measure if or not you hire the right people, or if you're working for the right companies, that if during your spare time you want to hang out with these people. And I think we hang out all the time, like me and Siqi, and also with other colleagues of ours. We sometimes go to our esthetician's home, and she'll give us a facial, and we're talking about playing tennis together. So it's make it fun, and it's a startup. You have the benefit of choosing who you want to work with, and I think that's such a privilege. Like you don't get to do that if you're in a big corporate. So I think that having fun is definitely very important. And another thing I would say about mental health is that, like, even though as founders it's a very stressful journey, but remember you do have each other, right? So I think the companionship and sometimes just being the sounding board makes things so much easier. Yeah. Sometimes Siqi would, call me and, talk about, some financial stuff or investment stuff. I was like, am I really the best person to talk about this with? Like, I don't know much about, I'm not like the finance junkie that you're looking for. But then I realized that, the reason why she does that, or I do that to her as well. Like I would talk about, hey, do you like this color better, or did that color better? It's not necessarily like what we can get out of it, but it's like you listen, and kind of that conversation helps you think through whatever you're going through. And just having the other person always be there listening, I think it really, really helps. And that's a relationship that we should utilize better as founders.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's so important to create that family culture within your organization, because if it's like, if you guys can't do weekend stuff and weekend activities with the person that you work with and have fun with them, and you just talk about work all the time, like 24/7, it gets really dry, like if you just talk about work all the time, like how can you take some time to enjoy yourself and just like go out with your co-founder, with your employees, and create that like family culture. I think that's really important.
Yeah, this one conversation I have with my other founder friends is that all the stress that we go through, we chose the stress. It's self-inflicted. It's the easier path in life where you can pick a 9 to 5 and work for someone else and just have your vacations in a normal schedule. But we chose this life. Like we chose a self-inflicted pain, But it's also awesome.
But don't say it's painful. I don't think it should be painful.
First and foremost, fun, right? And then you should be an ambitious goal that you're working towards. And if you can have fun doing it, then that's even better. We definitely try to reinforce that culture a lot, like even with outside of our founding team, and then we try to. I think sometimes like Kailu and like some of our other employees text me at the most random things on the weekend, and then I'll be like, haha, this is funny. Like we have this eagerness to share something that's funny or or surprising about our life with our coworkers, because I think they get it, and because we're in this every day. So that's like such a strong and beautiful dynamic that we don't usually, it's like hard to get. I think we're very, very blessed.
Definitely. So I would love to know, because you two are such like powerhouse women and you two have been in the industry for a while now, have you guys gone through like any struggles or challenges in the past while building HelloAva? And especially because, two women of, a member of minority, especially, did you ever like face any discrimination or like any challenges from other people in the industry?
Yeah, I think for us, we're not only like minority female founders, but we're also immigrants. So I think that actually makes it, in my perspective, more challenging. So I think first of all, you kind of need to, when I remember when I first started with Siqi, there are like things in the business world that we need to learn about as founders, but then also it's our first time ever founding a business in the US, right? So there are certain protocols that we need to learn and adapt to. So I think being an immigrant is definitely, challenging, but then also now we see it as a benefit because we get all these like great connections back home. And especially in the tech world, like China is really like booming. I'm so like proud of the fact that we're, an immigrant female founded company, and we're serving like communities here, but also like around the world. So it's definitely a learning curve, but I think at this point, I think it is a great benefit.
Well, let me add on to that. So I think the immigration policy of our country has been a little bit anti-immigrants these days, especially with without me kind of being too political, but I think that's like one of the challenges with trying to hire, immigrants as using especially H-1B visa or O-1 visa, trying to get these great immigrants into our company. So that's an unfortunate, but hopefully we will see a better policy that's coming out of the election afterwards. So that was annoying, but we cope with it. So another challenge I would say we face is definitely there's definitely, I think, especially in the fundraising world, there's probably biases against women. So when we're like doing fundraising and stuff, like I think women, we just have to show more data points about our business to show that it works, rather than men sometimes can talk about, just an idea and somehow they can raise more money. So what we're trying to resolve that issue is we're trying to find female investors who actually believe in this concept first before we show them the numbers, because we don't want someone to kind of just invest in us because our numbers is great, but we want them to buy into this big vision and the dream that we have.
Right. Yeah. I love it. I love how you guys are, using those challenges and turning it into something more positive, So we have a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs in the community of AHN, and would love to know, like, from the both of you, what is one advice that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur who's just trying to start out, maybe in the skincare business or just like in tech or just in general?
I think for me, I would like to tell anyone that is, has a dream or wants to do something to execute. I think one of the biggest roadblock that people always face is usually their own voice and their self, because people always doubt too much about. And I experienced the same. It's that we doubt so much, like, can I do this? Can I do that? And you usually delay that, and then you never actually did it. So then nothing will actually happen unless you actually do it. So I think one of the key lessons I learned both in business school and being an entrepreneur myself is the urgency of acting. If you don't have this urgency of doing things, then like nothing will ever done. Like everyone can have a dream. Only the ones that actually get to do stuff actually succeed. So I think it's so important you actually put into action, like execute on it. It's all about execution. Everyone can have a great idea, but then it's all about execution that will actually set the difference. Yeah. Another thing I want to say is that believe in yourself and take a chance. And even if it fails, it's fine. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then to add on that, I think it's very like execute, and I think sometimes like people or just like myself tend to have a tendency of overthinking what I am trying to do. So I would spend more time thinking about this thing than just go right ahead and do it, because sometimes in our head we're like, oh, maybe we need better planning. We need to, talk to more people, and we can't make a decision yet. But I think in the startup world, everything is changing so fast. You can't really plan. So right now, even when we hire people, I think I value this so much. It's that like people who give us like present fancy plans don't tend to be the ones that can actually execute on the ideas. And And whatever works in a startup scenario, just double down on it and trust your intuition. Sometimes you don't need like massive planning or like big business plan. If you have one customer, just go get that customer and make him or her super, super happy. And then you get a second and third customer coming in. And instead of like sitting here and, flash out a beautiful like investor deck. Sometimes I think that's also important, but it's the first thing that I talked about sometimes is ignored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. Well, how can our listeners learn more about your company? And, we saw this video, I think it was about 3 years ago, where the questionnaire was happening on Facebook Messenger. How can our listeners fill out a questionnaire for your product? And, how can they learn more about like what type of products are good for their skin?
Very easy. So for all of the listeners who already have beautiful skin or have struggling from any kind of skin condition, or just want to know if your product you're using is correct, or just want any kind of question related to skincare, please go to helloava.co, and then you can just click on Start Quiz, and then you can go through the journey. It's very simple. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes, and the consultation you schedule will be around 10 to 15 minutes. So you can do this literally like when you're taking a break from work.
Yeah, and you can also find us on Instagram.
Yeah, so please follow us as well on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is HelloAva Beauty. And love to, and then you can get all kinds of amazing content on how to take good care of your skin. I think we do have really, really good content and then really funny jokes too about skin.
Well, I can tell that both of your skins are very beautiful and that you guys are like a prime example of just using HelloAva. So thank you guys for sharing your story. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us. This was really fun.
This is so fun. Even though this is the 8th time talked about HelloAva.
Yeah, but this is the most fun one.
Yeah, the other ones I was just like, it's like mechanics. I'm like, okay, this is what HelloAva does. Like, boom, boom, boom.
All right, thank you so much, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, bye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to the show.
We would like to get to the top 10 on iTunes, so be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We release an episode every single Wednesday, so stay tuned.
Thank you guys so much.